Howdy, you. Don't know who you are yet, but today we're going to do something a little interesting. I'm going to use the Damon Tarot on one side, the Angel Tarot on another side, and depending on how deep I want to go, I'll grab the Threads of Fate Weaver Tarot, Journeyman and Ascendant Edition, and dive even deeper into these. And we're going to pull one of these little babies and use the 72 Shem Angel Tarot correspondence to the Ace through the 9 of the Minor Arcana to get like the central sort of theme, central message, right? So very kind of much so what I've been doing in the live for the past 2 days, but adding another layer. I don't know why. I do what I feel like, when I feel like, and then stuff happens, right? And so I'm actually going to start a new zodiac cycle today. I was going to do either the element or modality, but I was like, I feel this a little bit more today. So, to find out who lucky number 1 is, and it's not like I said a new series of readings, like I'm doing a new cycle of readings, right? They may not necessarily all be the same within that cycle. Again, it's however I feel it. And whoever series says its turn is. I believe in fate and chance, I guess. If the audio is a little quiet, it's because for some reason I think it's normal now. When I was practicing, when I was setting it up and talking, I noticed that it wouldn't really go into the yellow. And I'm using a new scene within the OBS software, so I can do like more, and hopefully it doesn't distort the image as much. But we'll see. We'll see. Hey Siri, choose a random number between 1 and 12.
A random number between 1 and 12 is 5.
5. Leo. Leo. That's interesting. Because, Leo, last time I saw you, it took you a while to come out. And I'm pretty sure I was like, where is Leo? I was like, this ended up being Leo? Like, if it's Leo, Leo is like the first one to be like, hey, like, here I am. I know you all saw me. I know you felt my presence. I know you felt it coming before the coming. So we're like right up out the gate today, Leo. Okay, so I'm liking that. I mean, as compared to, maybe where we were. And if that if that one didn't resonate for you, then let's just start. Let's start here. Let's start here now, Leo. Let's do this together. We start here now, and it's not that the past doesn't inform the present and have some hold on the future if we allow it, but there's also beauty in now moments, and in now moments, if you can be present, you get to choose. And not necessarily be influenced by other tenses. I'm gonna jot that down. To not be influenced by other tenses. Like past tense, present tense, future tense. Stay in the now. Not even the present, the now. Is there a difference? Maybe. Let's see. So let's see which of the 72 Shem Angels wants to come forward. It's this one. The Two of Michael in reverse. Yesterday it was the Two of Raphael in reverse. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Gabriel. I'm going to take this as it is. It's an Eight of Wands energy. It's about messages. And it's interesting because Lionsgate this year is on August the 8th. It's on the new moon in Leo this year is on Lionsgate August the 8th. And not every time, but the Hawk card has been coming out a lot lately in the Wild Unknown Animal Spirits. And it's like the first two times I saw it, it was coming out of portals. So by the third time I saw it, I was like, oh, well, there's another portal energy. But it carries this energy. It's like it's retrieving you, it's leading you to it. It's like you guiding yourself to the other side from the other side, if that makes any sense. And my dear friend Corey from Founders of Light just sent me a music video. And in the music video, there's a dude that's born, a dude that, dude meets girl, dude has a family, and then it's the end of dude's journey. And at the end of his journey, he turns into, I'm going to assume, a kookaburra. The one that sits in the old gum tree. But when dude met girl, there was a kookaburra in the tree earlier in the music video. So there is a little bit of an energy of guiding yourself, meeting yourself, being pulled through certain circumstances and situations by a future version of yourself. And again, it's interesting because Corey asked me the other day, we were talking, and he was like, have you ever considered tapping into future timelines, or like asking your future self, or like seeing what that's like and having that guide you through the now. And I know it's like to not be influenced by other tenses. I'm gonna stick with the title because that's what it felt like. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of work this time, it seems. So there's a difference between being informed and being influenced. When you're informed of something, it implies, and maybe it's all semantics and connotations. When you're informed about something, it implies that there's a knowing there. When you're influenced by something, it implies that there's a knowing and a taking on. And we can be positively influenced or negatively influenced. But like influencers are kind of sort of those who shape public opinion, those who we trust to form judgments for us. Not that so that we don't have to do it for ourselves, but in a way so that we don't have to think for ourselves. We find other people to think for us. And it's interesting because I feel like even when we don't think we do that, sometimes we still do. And that's, you exit one system where you're told who to be, how to be, and when to be, and you seek enlightenment, right? And so then you go find a guru. You go find someone else to tell you who to be, how to be, and when to be in a different system. You've swapped systems, but maybe you haven't necessarily brought forth your inner truth as much. And maybe a little bit of that energy is here with the Two of Swords in reverse, Two of Michael. It's an energy of like other battles, other fights playing out through you in a way that you sort of, or maybe this is the past, right? In a way that you just took it on. Because sometimes when we take on beliefs, we also take on, it's like when we take on things that we are for, sometimes we also take on things that we are against. And not everyone can allow for the complexity of, not everyone has practiced, I like that better. Not everyone has practiced allowing complexity, because sometimes complexity can create paradox, and sometimes we're not comfortable with paradox. Even though a lot of who we are and what we exist in can be paradoxical in nature. And by that, it's like if you are informed that apples are red, right? Now every single apple is red in your reality, and if you see something green, it's not an apple. Someone else is informed that apples are green, and every apple in their reality is green, and anything red, even if it looks like an apple, it's not an apple. And so if you bring those two together, there's a lack of, if you bring those two together and there's a lack of space to be informed, then it can create, or it historically has created, conflict. Now, when you exist in your red apple reality and you meet someone who exists in a green apple reality, there lies an opportunity outside of the conflict, or another potentiality from the meeting of those two besides conflict, is compromise. Then maybe you begin to exist in a reality where apples can be either red or green. But a red apple has different tastes and textures and characteristics than a green apple. But just because they're different doesn't make one of them any more of an apple than the other, or any less of an apple than the other. And I feel like that's the energy in here, because we see these two unicorns meeting. Okay, I'll turn it up right. We see these two unicorns meeting, but it's like they're butting horns. Now there's this energy where either one horn will break the other, or they'll both break. Or when their horns meet, it creates the space for some kind of magic, some kind of portal to open, some kind of new to begin. And a lot of times it's how we take it. Now this is in reverse to me, but it's upright for you. I read for me. Unless, most of the time I read for me, unless I say that I'm reading for. I read from my direction and orientation rather than yours. Unless I specify otherwise, right? And it's interesting, even when you sit down for a reading, there's one person on one side of the table and another person on the other side. Unless you're sitting on the same side of the table. But that's the beauty of round tables, right? That's the magic of round tables, where no one's at the head and no one's at the tail. So let me, I could have opened this before I started, but I didn't, so we're going to practice a little patience today, which is fine. Actually, I'm still talking, so we didn't even really have to practice too much of any patience. But I'm going to scroll down and find the Two of Swords in reverse, and we'll see who we're starting with before I go to either deck, because that's how I'm feeling it. Two of Swords in reverse is Yeyazel. In the sphere of Chakma, Moon in Libra. This is Libra 16 to 20 degrees, decan rulership of Saturn. And it's under Archangel Camael. Or Camael. I don't know how to pronounce things in Hebrew, so bear with me. Yeyazel, right? YYZ, Yeyazel. Okay. YYZ, Yeyazel. Making joyful. Angel who is merciful and sympathetic to prisoners. Invoke Yeyazel for deliverance from suffering. Patron of scribes and artists. Oversees the printing of books and the publication of news. Okay. So now this Eight of Wands, it's carrying a little bit of a carrier pigeon energy. It's a carrier. They don't have to be pigeons. Ooh, with the Eight of Wands, Six of Wands under it. This is like victory. Spreading the news. I just got excited. Spreading the news of victory. And it's interesting that this angel is sympathetic to prisoners. So now this Two of Swords energy, Two of Michael, it takes on... the energy was there before. It's like it's stuck in indecisiveness. It isn't able to decide for some reason. I don't know why. But I want actually, I'm going to get one of these first. And then I'm going to get one of these, because I feel like it'll set the balance. Since it's the Two of Swords, I'm going to balance them. And I'd rather do it this way. Even though, personally, I'm not about perpetuating endless war, be it spiritual or physical. I believe that there's a point of harmony and balance between. I believe that there's a lot of forces that know how to be in balance in a way that humanity doesn't necessarily know how to. And again, it goes back to that. It's like we can believe that apples are red, without trying to purge the earth of people who believe that apples are green. We can believe in what we believe without trying to either force confirmation or conformity on someone else or death. It's possible. We're learning it as a global collective. Oh, okay. I'll give it 3 more. All right. I'm not going to look at the bottom of the deck. So there's 2. Oh my gosh. Ouroboros and Astaroth. I think Astaroth is the male form of Astarte, which was basically a Venusian energy. But with the rise of, I guess, Judeo-Christianity, they took a lot of gods and deities and other religions and demonized them. Like, literally turned them into demons because they're not God, right? And that's kind of sort of like all apples are red. Anything that's not red is an apple. And I guess I could use something that's more complicated, right? To not trivialize whatever, but it kind of sort of, in my opinion, in my line of belief, and you don't have to take it because I'm not trying to replace whatever you believe. But in my personal line of belief, it's a little silly to believe in a God that is so vast that we can't even fully comprehend it, but to simultaneously believe that what you believe is the only way to comprehend it. And like I said, we're paradoxical by nature. We choose where we allow it. And it's like, wow, y'all done turned a whole like goddess of beauty and love and everything else into a demon because that's not the one you believe in. And it's interesting because I feel like, oof, 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands coming out, 9AL against Ouroboros against. They could be working together, honestly. And I feel like just as there's been, I feel like we struggle with that integration on a lot of levels, right? When it comes to race and gender and ethnicity, when it comes to belief, it's like, is there any sort of line where we've met together? And it's not that I don't believe that we can't do it. I believe that we very much so can do it. I believe that we are doing it, but I also understand that it's gonna take adjustment for that to happen. And for that to happen, we have to be open and willing. We have to be in a position of doing and being in order for it to be on a more collective level. We can't ask for things. I mean, we can because we do ask for things, but then we put no effort into getting them or being them. You know what I mean? Very much so a be the change you wish to see in the world energy. And the thing about law, the thing about the judicial system is that it does nothing for the mind and it does nothing for the heart. It allows opportunity, maybe. And it definitely allows for opportunity in the physical or more access to opportunity. But again, it doesn't really do much to change the minds or the hearts of people. Have our laws become more progressive in a lot of ways? Sure. Have people become more progressive in a lot of ways? Yeah. But does the state of a lot of people reflect the state of the law? No. There are people who will practice discrimination even if it's illegal. You know what I mean? There are people who will still steal even though stealing is illegal. There are people who kill even though killing is illegal. Law does nothing to govern man, really. And that's why the change needs to happen inside as well. Oh, Leo. Who was the Lion of Judah? I don't know, but I'm like, oof, maybe I should have. No, it's fine. Can I get one more? Oh, I said one more, not like 5 more. Maybe Astaroth doesn't need one. Because I know, I'm like 99% sure that Astaroth is the feminine version of, or Astaroth is the masculine version of Astarte. And Astarte was like a goddess associated with like, she was very Venusian, beauty and love and good stuff. There we go. Thank you. Ooh, we're gonna take it that way. This came out on this side. See, then this is the X. I'm getting this X in it. Oh, I looked at the bottom of the deck. Woo! It's fine. I just know the name is Samael, and it's the devil, but fine, we'll do it. We'll do it. So it's the devil Samael, the severity of God. Seduction and downfall. Communicates with the dead. Teaches the occult and magic. And it's interesting that the devil energy, this almost necromantic energy, which is seen as like not great in a lot of lines of belief, teaches occult and magic. It's coming out on the angel side of things. And that's the danger of like polarity games, honestly. Someone can feed you part of a story and then you go out believing in it, in some ways condemning yourself because you're always responsible for what you do, regardless of, how ill-informed you were. And that's the thing about influencers, right? To be informed, but not necessarily influenced. At the bottom of the deck over here is Zabos. See, the descriptions in this deck don't really tell you much about who they are. But I want to start there. Zaebos. That may be the last one in here. Probably is. It starts with a Z, right? Yeah, it is. Zabos. So I'm going to read the inspiration and the divination. The inspiration says, Weyer, and I don't know how to pronounce a lot of this stuff, so I'm just going to read it. Weyer has nothing to say about the nature of Zabos' skills or specialties, and Colin de Plancy only asserts that Zabos has a sweet personality and character. It is not until the Goetia, that Zabos' area of expertise is recorded, and even then no detail is given beyond this. Zabos causes people to fall deeply in love. It is worth noting that Agares, the daemon who rides the companion crocodile to Zabos', is gifted at leading people where they need to be, and Zabos is dressed to protect and defend, and is gifted at causing people to fall in love once they found each other. Perhaps that is all that needs to be said. This says focus on romance and comfort. So again, it's this energy. And what's so interesting is I feel like whenever I use like angels and demons together, sometimes the Daemon Tarot comes out with energies that are a lot more focused on unity and coming together. And angel energies are like war. And it's just how it is sometimes. I'm sure that there are energies on both sides that are more interested in perpetuating an eternal war. They're more interested in trying to end an eternal war than it's like they're interested in ending it by defeating the other side, which perpetuates and propagates more conflict and more violence and more discordance and disharmony, rather than coming to compromise or coming to an agreement. Like, there are many ways to win a war. There are many ways to end a war. There are many ways to end a war, and not as many to win them. I like that. There are many ways to end a war, but not as many to win them. So, let's see who Ouroboros is. Let's get into these first two. And what was this one? I already forget. Let me go back and find it. Yeyelel. Making joyful. Angel who is merciful and sympathetic to prisoners. Invoke Yeyezel for deliverance from suffering. And at the end of, like, that's what war is, like, cause suffering on both sides. You win and you plunge the other side into boundless suffering. And a lot of times after a war is won, the other side isn't, their experience isn't often better for the losing of it. Often. Sometimes someone will instigate a war or a fight because of an unchecked whatever. And they lose and they get put in their place and balance is restored, right? So again, different wars carry different sort of natures, and I don't have to go into the complexity. It's complex, right? We're dealing with paradox here, Leo. Keep up. You're the sun. Well, as the sun, I don't know if that would be especially difficult, because Cancer and Leo are two of the signs that are like singularly ruled by their celestial body. The only thing connected to the sun is Leo. The only thing connected to the moon is Cancer. Like Jupiter is Pisces and Sagittarius. Mars is Aries and Scorpio. Venus is Taurus and Libra. And so it is a little one-sided. Maybe. I don't know. Let's get into this and see. So Oribas never lies. There are many daemons who are known to be helpful and even generous with their knowledge, but Oribas is the only daemon in this book who Colin de Plancy, and Weyer earlier, explicitly state does not deceive or give false temptation, ever. Any question the summoner asks, Oribas will receive a dignified response. Any question the summoner asks Oribas will receive a dignified response, and of course, a true one. However, occasionally we ask questions to which we do not really want a wholly truthful answer. Oribas occasionally gives answers that anger or sadden the questioner, but the fault of those answers does not lie with Oribas. It is always better to know the truth, but sometimes we must come to terms with those truths on our own. Focus on honesty with ourselves and others is the divination. And with the Ten of Wands over here, it may be a truth. It's a hard truth to accept. And I think it is a lot of times probably really hard for people to accept that they were influenced to believe something that is not entirely true. That they were led to believe that blah, 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 whatever, whatever, whatever. And then it comes out that the actions that they took went against what they personally believe because of the entirety of the system that they chose to believe in. And then it's this like, oh, I'm not a bad person, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do whatever. But you were convinced to see things from a certain perspective, and it was intentional. Energies interested in boundless eternal conflict that never ends, or absolute total destruction. Which is important why, we always hold on to our voice of truth. Nanael, Ten of Wands, God humbling the proud. God humiliating the proud. Sorry, not humbling, humiliating. This is spiritual communication, and it influences religious men, teachers, and men of law. There's that influence energy. But how much has religion, teaching, or the law of man really sort of progressed us forward to peace or harmony between opposites? When has any of those things really brought balance? And a lot of times law only changes, like it takes something to change law. Most of the time people aren't like, oh yeah, that thing that we've been doing, that's wrong, let's just stop. No, it takes action, it takes riots, it takes protests, it takes petitions, it takes something to change law. Law doesn't just change. But again, here's this influence. I'll read Naneo, because why not? This is number 53. 53 is an 8, and 8s for me personally, they're traps. They feel like traps. An 8 is an infinity sign. You don't really escape it. And depending on where you center and balance yourself, that's what you're going to get more of. You may get a little more, you may get a little less, but more or less, the 8 fixes you in a point. And so, and that's my thing. It's almost like with Libra energy for me as well. Because Libra is an energy of balance, but it's a question of where are you maintaining balance? Where are you fixing yourself to experience almost the same thing over and over? Now, it is interesting though, because it almost looks like these two are about to embrace each other. And so maybe this is law, and this is systems of belief that are coming into those harsher truths, that are asking the questions that really need to be asked as far as like, does this uphold or stand for what it is that I truly believe in? Oribas holds nothing back though, apparently. God humiliating the proud, it's in the sphere of principalities. The person born under Nanael's influence, Nanael, will have a melancholic demeanor and will pursue a private life, rest, and meditation. They will distinguish themselves through knowledge of the abstract sciences. Nanael rules over the high sciences and is able to influence religious men, teachers, magistrates, and men of law. And that's another one of the interesting things too, because I feel like a lot of times when we see something that we view, and I'm gonna not be specific intentionally here, because it's not my intention to create more conflict and strife and whatever. It's my intention to kind of sort of like Ouroboros, get to the truth of the matter. Because continuing to dance and skirt around it or continuing to selectively look at certain things is going to keep us repeating the same thing. And we have an opportunity to do better. And I question my own beliefs and stuff just as much. But I already forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. It's this energy where sometimes if we look at certain events or certain happenings, or when there's something that needs to be voted on, let's say, and we think that, or we believe that we're in the right and someone else is in the wrong, and we assume that those in the wrong are uneducated, but that's not always the case. In fact, a lot of times it's not the case. In fact, sometimes it is the educated who know how systems work and who have a vested interest in maintaining them because of whatever position they have, because of whatever they gain, because of whatever privilege, right? They have a vested interest in maintaining that privilege. They have a vested interest in limited access and exclusivity. And maybe that vested interest is, I've worked this hard, so why should anyone else get a handout? Why should anyone else get something for free? But in my mind, it's like, if you know how sucky and difficult something is, shouldn't you want someone else to have an easier time? Is whatever that you believe and subscribe to is one of the theologies of that system of belief. If you suffer, others should be caused to suffer in the same way. Is it not more giving or selfless or caring or compassionate than that? Shouldn't you want I don't know. I'm the type of person where I'm like, if this sucks, I don't want anyone else to experience this. Not that, oh, I went through this, so you should go through it too. And it's like, girl, okay, so let's go back to caveman days and be hunter gatherers with no technology, no progress, no movement, no nothing. Because if they had to go out and be like, if their fight or flight was not getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or whatever, then that should be our fight or flight. Not, oh, you're stressed at your job, right? Oh, you had a hard day at work and now, like, your fight or flight is kicked in and you're stressed and you can't whatever. Well, what's that compared to what other people go through? And it's interesting because, again, it's like it's those people who won't invite things to make their experience worse, but will also discourage others from having a better experience. And if your thing is, well, if I suffered, then other people should have to, then those who suffer worse than you should have to suffer like they do. So you should give up all of the comforts and pleasures that you have. But no one wants to do that. It's very much so self. And this is Leo energy. I'm not picking this up for Leos in particular. It's just a self-absorbed, self-interested, egocentric energy. It's not Leo in particular. Maybe it's like shadow of Leo energy, but again, it's not for the collective of Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto, whatever. It's just the shadowy side of that zodiacal energy, or one of them. So next is Astaroth. So, I don't know, because, like, it doesn't feel like this Ten of Wands is going to embrace Ouroboros. But it also doesn't have... Oh! I was going to say it doesn't feel like this Ten of Wands is going to... It doesn't feel like an embrace, but it also doesn't feel like an attack. Like, if this angel had a sword in its hand, then I would be like, oh, Ouroboros is like open arms. Like, this is the truth. It is what it is. I hide nothing. I hold nothing. And then this energy is coming in to slay it. But they do say that the pen is mightier than the sword. And this is the angel who governs law and higher sciences. And the pen is much mightier. Back in the days where, and some people still believe that women are scientifically less intelligent or whatever than men are, and that this race is scientifically more whatever or less whatever than that race. And this is the angel who guides the hands of the sciences and guides the hands of the lawmakers. Again, anything can hold shadow, even the light. Because there's a whole bunch of gray between absolute white and absolute black. And there's just as much gray on the whiter side of the scale as there is on the blacker side of the scale. Astaroth, let's see. I think I might read this in its entirety. Maybe this isn't Astarte. We'll see, though. Oh, poor Astaroth. No one has been wronged more than he. Just ask him. He remembers all of the details of the fall, the separation of heaven and hell, and will not hesitate to tell you how he certainly deserves to be punished for choosing the wrong side. And maybe that's the truth. I certainly wasn't there, and most demonologists and theologists are a bit biased about the matter. If there is a point when one protests too much, Astaroth has reached it and is unwilling to discuss any other matters when he is summoned. He is quite gifted in math and science until he has told his tale of woe. Astaroth's name seems to have slowly evolved from that of the Phoenician goddess Astarte, an incarnation of Ishtar of Babylon. Unlike the beautiful goddess that is his namesake, demonologists describe him as being ugly. This seems unnecessarily cruel to me, and makes me wonder if perhaps there wasn't some other injustice done to him. But Sebastian Michaelis, a French Grand Inquisitor whose book Histoire admirable de la possession et conversion d'une pénitence contains a brief hierarchy of demons, makes no comment about Astaroth's appearance, and still says he is lazy, vain, and full of rationalizations for his every perceived wrong. Sometimes we really are wronged by circumstances or by others, and sometimes we only feel that way. But when we dwell on a slight, real or imagined, to the exclusion of all else, we will eventually lose the sympathy of everyone. Beware of milking a perceived wrong or victim status to the point at which others begin to lose sympathy and avoid the complainer. I feel like the last time I saw this entry was different. Or maybe that's the only thing I focused on last time, just like Astaroth. I was like, what? This is Astarte? And again, where was it? Let me find it again. Astaroth's name seems to have slowly evolved from that of the Phoenician goddess Astarte, an incarnation of Ishtar of Babylon. And goddess Inanna Ishtar. If you watch Gate 1 on Miss Remy Healings, she talked about how the beauty and the fearsomeness of Ishtar was warped over time as a more patriarchal sort of view was favored. Because she was a woman who wasn't necessarily dependent on a man. And a woman who isn't dependent on a man disrupts the system. It takes away from the positionality of man at the top and women at the side, or beneath, honestly. Over here, what? Jellio? Somebody jelly. I'm just playing. In reverse, though, Two of Wands. Love and wisdom. Victory over those who would attack you. Here's love and wisdom. Victory over those who would attack you. Two of Wands, but it was in the reverse. I feel like this is a lot of Astaroth. I feel like it goes back to like how no, there's this energy here. Like, this is the energy that would fix, this in particular is the energy that would fix laws in a certain way to establish or to give credence to certain socio-political, economical developments, right? And disparities. This is an energy that would offer truths that this energy would rather suppress. This is someone who was affected by this suppression in a way that they shouldn't have been. Because again, all of this serves a very specific narrative for a very intentional purpose. And again, it's when we're influenced by those narratives that we're blind to the truth that is out there. And when we have to face the truth of the fallacy within what we believe, we also have to face that we may have been ones actively contributing to those who suffer unjustly. And it can be difficult to come to terms with. But I don't think we necessarily need to blame ourselves. And I don't think necessarily that blaming ourselves is going to lead to any like real-time resolution. But there's also this energy where it's like, how much can you argue and reason with the people who establish, or with the energies? How much can you argue and reason with the energies that established a certain dynamic, that benefits off of that establishment, and that has a vested interest in maintaining that establishment? They have a vested interest in not listening to you. They have a vested interest in you not holding a presence outside of what they portray you as. And if those are the ones who control laws, if those are the ones who control lines of thinking, again, it's this energy of energies that are not interested in peace. And how far off of the truth that they're based on that they are, right? Because the devil energy is at the bottom of the deck for the angel deck, and you would assume that the angels would be on the sides of God and not the devil, but it's not always the case, and it's not just the ones who fail. Because I don't know if the will of the divine is for us to be in eternal conflict and to never know peace, for us to never know widespread equality, and for us to never know widespread access to health care and to like food and water and shelter. Like, is that the will of the divine for us to never know those things? Is it the will of the divine for us to constantly and continuously until eternity fight each other and struggle and repeat the same cycle over and over? Eventually, at some point, is it not supposed to become more? Is there not supposed to be harmony? And you can't believe that you create harmony on a wide scale level while simultaneously and actively and inactively, passively and actively, making things even more skewed or even worse for other people. You believe that your creator loves everyone, yet you go out and you attack and you demean and you tear down and you steal from others. Well, where's the love in that? Are they not part of the everyone? But were there not so many narratives for so long that would look at different people as less than human? And when you look at them as less than human, then you're not violating any of their human rights because they're not even human. And it's like, really? Is that what it means to be mush brain down here? Sorry. I don't need to go all the way there. But it's this energy of like, if we really take a second to really analyze what we believe and how those beliefs are played out into the world, if we really take a second to face and honor those harsh truths, I think we get a lot closer. And that's what it's about right now. It's about getting closer. It's about getting there. Everything that's happened has happened. We can't necessarily change it. We don't necessarily need to be Astaroths who are constantly talking about how we used to be Astarte, this incarnation of Ishtar in the olden day, and how because of the changing of the hand that writes the story, now we're completely dissociated from everything that we used to be. And it's not that there isn't truth in that. But at the same time, it's almost like this energy does just as much as the energy that continues to bypass. Because what this energy does is it's like, look at how much they complain. All they would have to do is go out and do what you do, and they would have just what you have. It's a lose-lose that we fall into. And again, it's intentional. It's very intentional. And it's done and made by people who understand how energies, who understand how human brain and psychology and development works. That also understands the human ego. That also understands how selfish we can be. But I think in some part it underestimated how much we can love and how selfless we can be and how we can actually be there for each other. I think it may have underestimated our ability to go, you know what, maybe I was wrong. Because now that I am seeing things in a way that is a little less curated for a certain purpose, and it's like, sometimes no matter what you see holds an agenda, right? But now that you're seeing other sort of sides, other perspectives, now that you're listening to other stories, it's like, okay, maybe something is wrong here. Maybe something does need to change. And with this being Leo energy, ruled by the sun, it in some ways holds, and in very much a lot of ways, it holds influence over everything in our solar system. And if you can influence if you could influence the sun, you could influence the entire solar system. And that's what energies do. Like, we are all the sons of our solar system. We're all the sun of our experience. We influence a lot. And if we can be influenced, then that's the giving over of that power. And again, it's devil energy down here where you think it would be here to serve you in your highest good. And I feel like I don't need to go into this anymore. I mean, I feel like this is pretty much it. This is basically collective. So maybe I won't title it as Leo. But we are in Leo season right now. So the sun is in Leo. I think Mercury is also in Leo now. I don't remember. This is what's being highlighted and illuminated. We're also at the start of a new Mayan calendar year. We're in the yellow electric seed now. We just came out of the blue lunar storm. There were a whole bunch of things that were blown out of the water, and so that was what, from July 26th, 2020 to technically July 24th, I think, 2022. 2021, sorry. Skipped like 2 whole years. Because then the 25th is the day out of time. It's like a year from basically today, within the past 365 days, basically. All that's been exposed. Now it's this energy of like, what are you going to do? How are you going to move forward? What seeds are you going to get? What seeds are you going to begin to plant? And which seeds are you going to continue to nurture? And in everything that you do, bring your internal voice of truth to every aspect and facet of a thing. Because I think we also accept things large scale too. Right? So if there's a 10-page paper, or if there's a 10 bulleted list, and if we agree with some people 2 or 3, some people 5 to 7, some people 9, of those 10 things, we take the whole thing. Even if there are points that we don't agree with it, we still accept it because the rest of it makes enough sense. Right? And it's that energy of like, all lies are based on a little bit of the truth. But you can extract the truth and expose the lie. We don't have to take things as wholesale anymore. Right? We don't have to buy in bulk anymore. We can be selective. And I think we, in some ways, need to be. Because again, that's one of the things about people that can ensnare us in things that aren't really for us. It can be just enough of what you like to get you to buy into it, and now all of a sudden you're doing things that you never even wanted to do. But you really wanted to be a part of something. Or you wanted to feel like you were the center of something. I don't know. It's Leo energy. So anything egoic, right? But if you can face those harsh truths, you won't need to buy in as much. You know what I mean? Whatever that is. I don't know. This is one of those real take it as it resonates things. I think last year was a lot of harsh truths that we didn't necessarily want to face, that we weren't necessarily prepared to face. And I think in some ways we are being, potentially, we may be paused, or we may find resistance, or we may feel a little stuck if we're trying to forget the truths that we've learned, or if we operate in any way that we feel as untrue. To move forward, we may have to take on those truths. And I think there's also an energy that's like, a lot of the easy work has already been done. And so now it's just the hard stuff. You did the easy problems first. eventually you were going to have to come back to this. And I guess the test isn't timed, so it won't be called until you finish. So you can do and redo and check and recheck the problems that you've already finished, the easier ones instead of facing the harder ones. But in that time, that's that 8 energy again. And 10 minus 2 is 8. 10 wands upright, 2 wands in reverse. That's 8 wands upright. Here's the 8 of wands right here. 8 of Gabriel. Wow. But again, it can be a trap. 8 of wands it's an energy of communication, but this could be this is things that you already want to know, right? You're manifesting a whole bunch of, yes, apples are red. Apple, look at that red apple. Look at that red apple. Look at that red apple. All of these apples are red. What do you mean apples are green? They're crazy. They're wrong. It's like, okay, girl. Because we do that too. Or if you're on the green apple side, look at this green apple. Look at that green apple. Look at that green apple. That apple is like yellow, but it looked more green than red. So hey, look at that green apple. Even though it's not, it's like yellow. But again, that's the thing about higher education, and that's the thing about like buying in bulk, especially before you even tried something. And that's another thing sort of in the science community. There's so much pressure for funding and money. Again, it's an energy that corresponds and correlates to other energies. There are researchers who need grants and funds and money to do what they want to do. So in order to do that, sometimes they fudge the numbers a little bit to prove that what they're doing is worthwhile. Or they'll go and they'll like do things that they don't really care about just to have the money to do the thing that they do care about. All the different ways in which we can be bought. And right now, the South Node is still in Sagittarius. And that, for me, can be a little bit of the shadowy side of Sagittarius, where it believes so firmly everything that it believes that it discounts everything else regardless of how true it is. It'll be like, oh, it's an outlier, right? That one doesn't count. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. But somehow everything that you already believe does count, and everything that you don't want to believe doesn't. Where does Aries fit in this fiery mess? I don't know. I don't know if Aries necessarily does, though. Well, Aries can be the gullible and influenceable because it's the youngest. But I feel like Aries would very much so be that Page of Wands, whereas Leo and Sagittarius can kind of sort of be the King of Queens of Wands, where Aries is like, you know what? I think I'm actually going to like do my own thing because I'm feeling it. And again, sometimes in the shadow side of Leo energy, Leo wants to be involved or wants to be this or wants to be that, so it does, and it is who it believes it needs to be. I don't know. I don't have to delve into the shadow, and I feel like if I talk about the shadow of these energies, though, I need to talk about the light of them, right? So the light of Sagittarius is that it expands into the unknown, and it makes it knowable. And so the light of Sagittarius and the light of higher sciences, it expands our consciousness, it expands our awareness, it expands our ability to interact with the world around us and our ability to understand the world around us. The light of Leo is that it is warm and inviting and welcoming. It is life-giving. Right? And then Aries was the one that's the outlier. So, you know, I talked about the light and the shadow of Aries already. And I guess we're going to be moving into Sun trine the South Node. Maybe that's why this Leo Sagittarius energy is coming in. Because the South Node is in Sagittarius and the Sun is in Leo. And a trine is a very, very easy aspect for things to just happen. And, you know, The South Node is kind of sort of like the shadowy side of an energy. It can be the lower form of an energy. It's what we need to heal within that energy that kind of sort of holds us back. And the shadowy side of Sagittarius can be sometimes that it holds overly firmly to what it already believes. It can also be that it craves freedom so much that it doesn't do the things that it needs to do to actually free itself. And you know what? I'm going to call myself out right now. Like, there's things that I know I need to have been doing. I had so much grace. My grace period was extended and extended beyond for me to get my life together enough that I would be able to step up when I need to step up. But of course, I waited until the grace ran out because I was like, oh, I'm going to enjoy this. And I don't think that it was a mistake. I don't believe it was. I don't believe that it was a mistake because today I woke up with a solution. And that's another reason why sometimes I don't really feel bad taking it easy, or I don't really feel bad doing it a lot, because I know that I'll receive what it is that I'm meant to when I'm meant to. And sometimes when we're being kept in the dark, it's for a reason. But while you're in the dark, you can rest. While you're in the dark, you can work on the other things that you need to work on. And when that realization comes in, you can move. You don't have to force it. Sometimes forcing it actually works against you. Believe it or not. That's what I got. This ain't even Leo. This is just collective. This is for the day that the Sun trines the South Node. Sun in Leo trines the South Node in Sagittarius. And I think the South Node is at like 7 degrees. So that'd be roughly 7 days into Leo season. So it might be soon. I wonder... Where's my phone? Hold up, because I want to look it up now. Hey Siri. Oh, it's literally right here. Never mind. What the? I wonder if it's around 8/8. Oh, the moon is in Aries right now. At the time of recording this, the moon is 4 degrees Aries. The sun is 5 degrees Leo. And the South Node is 8 degrees Sagittarius. There's a grand fire trine in the sky right now. Maybe that's why it's all this Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So in 3 days, so it's going to be before 8/8. And roughly, well, it's almost 6 degrees, honestly. But that's 8:58. So in roughly 3 days, which is the 1st of August, that's when the sun trine, the South Node is going to be more exact. By that time, though, Mars might be in Virgo. So let's just go. Let's look at it. August 1 at 12:59 p.m. Central Time. Nope, that's 9. So July 31. Yeah. Yep. So on July 31 at 12:59 p.m. Central, the sun will be 8 degrees 44 minutes Leo. The South Node will be 8 degrees 50 minutes Sagittarius. So on that day, they're going to move into an exact trine. And Mars will be in Virgo. Mars is going to be in Virgo at that time. The moon will be in Taurus. And so Aries will be empty. Besides Chiron, retrograde, besides Chiron and Aries. But I feel like Chiron and Aries could also play a part in this. Because Chiron is an energy that isn't... Well, Chiron is an energy where it's very difficult for us to heal whatever. And so there could be an energy of like, well, that's because that's where we avoid those harsher truths. Those are those realities and truths that we don't like to face, that we'd rather turn away from. But it's in retrograde, so, it's a perfect opportunity for the collective to free itself and for the individuals of the collective to free themselves and to face those harsher truths and realities and to allow other people to be and to come into a space where we can be together. Saturn retrograde, 10 degrees, going to be sextiling the South Node, but opposing the Sun. So that's what I got. Anyway, this was whatever this was. I hope y'all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that you have the courage and the strength and the bravery to face those uncomfortable truths, to own your power, own your voice, and to move forward. Because, I don't know, it'd just be cool, right?